I'm in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and the largest museum here is the Museum of the Albemarle. This is a huge museum. Look at the size of it. So let's go inside and take a look around and see what's in this place. And they have a nice exhibit here called Our Story. And this exhibit starts out with the native population before the Europeans arrived, with artifacts, and then they start with the arrival of the Europeans. They call this section the Maritime Era, and then they get to probably the most famous pirate of this area, Blackbeard, and a cannon that came off Queen Anne's revenge, they believe. And one thing that I find amazingly interesting is this is a house that was actually taken apart and brought into the museum and reconstruction, the Jackson House. So let's go inside, take a look. This is a house from the 1700s. It's amazing that they brought this house into the museum. Very interesting. Now that took a lot of work to do that. That house was built in 1755. They have more exhibits about the Maritime Era. Then they talk about the Canal Era. What they're referring to here is the Dismal Swamp Canal. And the Canal Era is just before the Civil War period. And they brought in a smokehouse and reconstructed it inside the museum with examples of meats hanging from the ceiling, getting smoked. Now we're coming up to the end of the Canal Era with the Civil War, and they have some interesting artifacts here. That is one of the cannon carriages from the CSS Black Warrior. So they have the smokestack from the ironclad Albemarle and the picture of the vessel behind it. Then it moves on, and they have what they call the Railroad Era. Quite a number of interesting exhibits here. I'm not stopping at any particular one too much because you really need to come and see a museum like this in person. Videos never take the place of being somewhere in person. And you can see they have cases with fashions in it, how they're changing. There's an old printing press, and one of my favorite things in this museum is the steam-powered fire engine there. Seeing this steam-powered fire engine reminds me of another museum I went to in New Bern, North Carolina, which was a fireman's museum, and they have quite a few examples of old fire engines. Okay, continuing on, and we enter the automobile era. And things then take a turn and get a little more modern. But we're still talking early 1900s up to about the 1950s in here, because there is the counter from a old Woolworths or something. You hear about the sit-ins in the 1950s that took place at places like that. Then we have a farm tractor, some of their tools, and then we enter the tourism era, which I think we're in now. And of course, they've got uniforms from the Coast Guard station that's not too far from here. That is the main exhibit they have here at the Albemarle Museum. And there are quite a few other ones, but I'm not going to go through every one because you really need to come here. Now, I'm going to show you one more real quick, and that's an exhibition about surfing. All right, we're at the surfing exhibit, and there's the movie Endless Summer up there. I remember that from when I was a kid. And all those different surfboards and pictures. Once again, you have to see this stuff in person. And they have a little bit about building surfboards and the foam that goes inside them. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this preview of the museum, and I encourage you to come here and see it live and in person. So until next time, see ya.